I dropped a huge ultimatum on my dad, and will never talk to him again if he doesn't come to my graduation, because I'm fed up of feeling like the backup and his least favorite child. So I, 18 meters, have a half-brother, Cam, who is the same age as me. Our dad got 2 women pregnant around the same time. I'm older by 6 months. My dad chose Cam's mom over mine and they're married now. Cam is his parents' only child. Anyway, I've always felt like I was just a backup son for my dad. I know he does love me, but not as much as Cam. I live an hour and a half away from him, but he would always make the drive to come see me when I was younger and still does to this day. If I ever need anything, he'll make sure I get it. He took me on trips all the time with just me and him. But still, I felt like an outsider. He would constantly put me second to Cam. If we both had sports games on the same day, he would always go to Cam's with his wife. Once, when I had an award ceremony, he couldn't come because Cam was sick. It was just a cold, by the way. When I wanted him to teach me how to drive, he said he couldn't because he promised Cam he would teach him first but that he'd help me after Cam got his license. I could list off a bunch of other examples. My dad would show up to my stuff, but if Cam had something going on at the same time, he wouldn't come. Cam and I aren't friends. We get along fine if we're together, but neither of us is going out of the way to talk to the other. I think he's spoiled and obviously our dad's favorite. Our dad and his mom did him no favors because his grades are bad and his life has no direction. He didn't apply to any colleges, and he won't even get a part-time job. We're both graduating high school this year. His school district released their graduation schedule after mine and, of course, our graduations are on the same day at the same time. We live an hour and a half apart, so obviously our dad can't make it to both. He's known my graduation date for weeks before Cam learned his. We already had plans for him to come and spend the day here. But I knew as soon as I saw that schedule, he was gonna flake. At first, he said he wasn't sure what he was gonna do. He's been avoiding the topic for weeks, but our graduations are on the 29th, so he has to decide now. Well, yesterday he took me to dinner. He told me that he was going to go to Cam's graduation. He said it was because Cam's grandparents weren't gonna be able to make it, and Cam would only have his mom while I have my mom, stepdad, siblings, and grandparents all coming to mine. I'm not an idiot. It was just an excuse that I knew would be coming. He tried to soften the blow by promising me he'd make up for it by taking me on a graduation trip anywhere I wanted to go. Even though he had already promised me that months ago. He's taking his wife and Cam on a family trip to Hawaii in June. It's supposed to be Cam's graduation trip, but he promised he and I would have our own trip. Now, all of a sudden, that trip is supposed to also be a makeup for missing my graduation. So I told him okay, I want to go to this one weekend event that is on the same week he's going to Hawaii. He told me he can't because that's when they're going to Hawaii. I didn't actually want to go to this event, I was just proving a point. I told him to postpone his Hawaii trip so he can take me to the event. He said he can't because everything is already paid for and non-refundable. I told him that he's missing my high school graduation. The least he can do is make me the priority when it comes to the graduation trips. He said I'd have to pick a different weekend. I told him he doesn't actually care about making it up to me. He's only okay with what I want so long as it doesn't interfere with his real family. He denied it and told me to try to understand the position he's in. I told him straight up that he always chooses Cam over me. For once, I want to be the first choice. So I said I'll have a ticket ready for him but that if he doesn't come, I'll know where I stand in his life. I don't care about a makeup trip. Either he shows up and we still have a relationship or I'm just done with him. He told me that I was being unreasonable and maybe I am, but I'm still standing my ground. I already know he's not going to come, even after my ultimatum. Do you think it's risky to throw away our relationship over this? Update. Some people wanted an update to my post. My graduation was on Wednesday. Surprising everyone, especially me, my dad actually chose me and my graduation. Not at first, but he did come. So what happened after I gave him the ultimatum was he kept trying to talk to me as if nothing was wrong. He was asking me to spend time with him a lot and asking when I was free. Basically, either feeling guilty or trying to compensate for choosing Cam. I never met with him. Cam messaged me to tell me to stop being an asshole and to get over it cause apparently our dad was stressed out over the whole thing. I just blocked Cam and moved on. On the day of my graduation, my dad told me he was coming down to spend the day with me before he had to go home to go to Cam's graduation. At first, I told him not to bother cause there's no point in showing up here if you're just gonna leave before the actual ceremony, but he ended up coming anyway. We had a small get-together at my house with my mom's side of the family. My dad was there acting as if nothing was wrong. It was annoying. I refused to take pictures with him because I told him I'm taking pictures at my graduation. If you want pictures with me, you can show up. A few hours before the ceremony, he said he had to head out. I said goodbye forever and he pulled me aside to talk. He was trying to justify his decision again. I told him I was serious about what I said. I will not talk to him ever again. I made it clear that this isn't something I'm gonna be mad about for a bit and then get over. I'm not gonna call him crying in a few years saying I'm sorry. He asked why I was being like this and I just let it all out. I told him I'm sick and tired of being second place all the time. My entire life I've been told that he can't show up for me because Cam needs him or he promised Cam first. Yet the one time I had my graduation date set and planned first, he still cancels on me for Cam. I asked him to give me one good reason why he has to go to Cam's graduation over mine, specifically. No, this is a tough situation, or I can't be in two places at once. He said because if he doesn't go to Cam's graduation, he has to deal with a pissed off wife and his entire home life will be tense. I asked him why can't his wife and Cam ever be the ones he apologizes to and asks to try to understand? Why do I always have to be purposely handed the short straw? He didn't have an answer. I told him I hope Cam gets his life together because right now he's on a nosedive trajectory that ends with him still living at home rent-free in his 30s with a girlfriend he can't afford to give a ring to, let alone a wedding, and 3 kids who are being raised by my dad's wife. I didn't care anymore at that point. It's true. Cam's a loser. And I told my dad good luck cause he's the one that's taking care of you when you're old. I'm out. I guarantee Cam takes their money and puts his parents in the absolute cheapest nursing home he can find. They failed him by spoiling him and treating him like he's perpetually 5 years old. Dad still ended up leaving anyway. I refused to hug him and told him I'm done with him. That kinda ruined my mood, but once I got to school and started hanging with my friends, I decided to let it go. I wanted to enjoy my grad night and just forget all the bullshit. After the ceremony, I was shocked to see my dad walking towards me. I was positive he was going to Cam's graduation. Like gun to my head, get this answer right or you die. Well, I guess I'd be dead cause I was 100% sure he'd choose Cam. He already did, but I guess he turned around and came back. So he hugged me and told me that he's sorry for everything and how he's treated me and that he does love me just as much as Cam, even if he's been bad at showing it. I don't really believe that last part, but he showed up so that's what I'm focusing on. Cam was pissed, of course, and messaged me from a different number to whine at me. He was calling me a crybaby and selfish. Saying Dad only went to my graduation because I threw a fit. He doesn't understand that it wasn't me having a tantrum, it was a last straw situation for me. I just sent him a picture of me and our dad at my graduation and told him to get over it. Then I blocked that number too. He can do one. I'm glad he knows what it's like to be second choice just once. I'm sure our dad is already bending over backwards to make it up to Cam anyway, so he'll live. Our joint graduation party is gonna be awkward, but hopefully, we'll just keep our distance from each other. Oh, and don't worry, I'm not delusional. I know my dad is just gonna go back to his same old routine. And now, if I ever bring up his unfairness again, he'll always be able to throw in my face that he came to my graduation over Cam's. It'll probably be his trump card. Not gonna lie, it did feel good to have everyone crap on my dad with me in my last post cause I was pissed off at him when I posted. I know that he does love me though. Still, I think I'm gonna take some advice I got in that post. I'm not cutting my dad off, but I'm gonna stop trying. I have a lifetime of him awarding me the silver medal no matter how well I do, and I'm tired of it. Cam can be his favorite son uncontested from now on. I'm just gonna live my life and keep my dad at arm's length. I'm not gonna try to force him to prove his love for me anymore. Thank you everyone.